We're back with Terry Tully for part two of our interview with him to discuss the Irish Pipe Band Association. Thanks again, Terry, for taking the time to meet with us.
It's good. Great
Um,
to be here.
yeah, we talked last in the first part about the kind of structure and the aims and objectives about the Irish Pipe Band Association. It comes to mind, would a single Irish slash Northern Irish Pipe Band Association ever make sense?
Oh, um, I think we're a long way off that. Um, I, I, I always remember my father back in the early 80s, maybe the late 70s, early 80s, at an AGM of the Irish Pipe Band Association, where we had a representative from the RSPBA NI, Northern Ireland branch, who made his speech, and my father stood up in the crowd, and uh, said at the top of his voice that he looked forward to the day when the RSPBA North of Ireland branch would become part of the Irish Pipe Band Association, to rapturous applause. But that's many years ago, and nothing has ever happened since, and I don't think it ever will, to be quite honest with you. But it would make a lot of sense. Recently, I've been in conversation with a few different people from Northern Ireland, and I have actually made the suggestion that the North of Ireland should have their own association. Uh, they can be affiliated in the same way as we are, and bands from Canada and America and all over the world are affiliated to the RSPBA. But I think it would put them in a much stronger position, for to have their own association up there, the North of Ireland Pipe Band Association. What would be wrong with that? It would put them in a position whereby they could make their own rules. So and not be governed by the RSPBA. I think it would be much better for the bands and much stronger for the bands if they were in a position to be able to do that. But it is only that's just an idea that I have floated recently with a couple of people, and there was quite a few sniggers when I mentioned it. But yet, they may go away and think about that. It could be a very good solution for them, um, and it would make it a lot easier for us in the south of Ireland, and there would be better communication that would go on between us and Northern Ireland. I think the North of Ireland branch of the RSPBA would be in a much better position if they were separate themselves. I know I could get into a lot of trouble for saying this, but I can only say what I think is right. I think they would be far better off creating their own pipe band association in Northern Ireland. That's exactly how I feel.
Oh, it's an interesting premise. Interesting that you'd put that out there. Certainly, Northern Ireland is extremely strong in terms of competitive interest and the pipe band culture, and maybe that does make sense. One thing we wanted to talk about, Terry, you're of course, world championship winning pipe major at the grade one level at St. Lawrence O'Toole, and a very successful solo competitor. Um, how important do you think it is to bring that lived competition experience to the leadership of an association?
As I said earlier, our association has in the past always been led, maybe not so much by the president, but always been led by pipers who are still very competitive today. And so we still have that. The secretary of the association, Johnny Sheen, is a piper with his own band, and Brian McMahon, who is the chairman of the association, is the pipe major of his own band. So I think maybe it's probably better for the association than it ever would be for me. I don't ever see how me being the pipe major of a grade one band who's one of the world's benefiting my role as a president in our association. Other people may feel that, but I don't. I'm there to do a job. I took it on, and when I was asked to take it on, or people asked me why did I take it on, my answer to them was basically that I wanted to try and improve things for the bands that are competing. Not that there has been anything wrong with how things were being run, but I think there is always room for improvement. And I think that we've kind of made inroads in that over the last year and a half with competitions that we've been running, i.e. the All Ireland Pipe Band Championships last year, which took place in Dublin. Was very successful, and our own local competitions here are quite successful as well. The only thing that we really need is for to get more bands to them. So that's a huge objective at the moment for me and for everybody else that's working in the association. So yeah. As I said, maybe other people might look at it as important that I'm bringing a kind of lived experience to it. I know what's good for the bands. I know what they like. I know what they don't like. It's better coming from somebody like me for maybe people who wouldn't be that used to standing in ghillie brogues and a heavy kilt on the day, for to be able to say to them, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think we should be doing that. I think we should be thinking more about what the bands want here and not what we want. You know, the spectacle on the day is the pipe bands. We don't need another spectacle. I've been in situations recently, and I've managed to get my own way for the good of the bands, as far as I'm concerned. So that's my plan for the future.
Very good. And we did talk about how Scottish pipe bands fit into the musical culture, let's say, of Ireland. Um, if there are any misperceptions of about piping and pipe bands, call it Highland piping and Scottish pipe bands in Ireland that you'd like to correct, what might those be?
Misconceptions. Okay, well, there was only one that I heard recently, and it was a suggestion that Irish pipe bands put music and creativity ahead of clinical precision. So that's actually not something that I would agree with. I think Irish pipe bands are equally as good at clinical precision as any of the bands that they're playing against in their grade. Maybe the one thing that may sound different to an outsider is the style of music might be slightly different, even though they may be prescribed tunes, but they may be played in a slightly different way. And that kind of comes from the culture of this country with the kind of music that we play here all the time, and that kind of filters back into our own piping and pipe bands. So I don't think it's any different uh, clinically. I think it's the same as everybody else. So it's not a perception that I would agree with. Um, like it, for me, the most important elements of a performance is a strong melody, and then if you couple that with creativity, um, and a good clinical performance. Well, I mean, that's as much as anybody can expect from a good performance.
Yeah, that's well said.
You've got you've
Good
got
point.
you've got to take into account as well, Andrew, that as I said earlier, of all of the bands that we have registered in our association, that there's only one grade one band, one grade two band. At the moment, we don't have a competing grade three band. So all of our other bands are in grade four, and as we call it here, grade five, which is the same as grade 4A and grade 4B. So, so there's limitations there and ability levels that exist that are the same as in any other band, whether it's in Northern Ireland or in Scotland. So you just have to make the most of what you have.
Very good. Before we wrap up, just anything more to add about the IPBA?
I've only been involved in the association a very short while, and one of the points that I've been making to people is that people can have a tendency for to be very critical of those who are trying to do their best. So people who are, trying to put on competitions and workshops and stuff like that, generally, you know, there's always somebody out there that will criticize what you're doing. Um, and I have to say that for many, many years, I was probably one of those people. Um, and that's the point that I've been making to a lot of people now, because I mean, everybody has suggestions to make, and I feel that my job in the role that I am in is for to listen to all of those suggestions, and as I said to you earlier, I want to do what the pipe bands want. I am there for the pipe bands, and the association needs to think that way as well. I'm not suggesting that they don't. I know they do, because as I said, we've got pipers and drummers who are involved in our association. Um, so you know, it can be tough when you do something and people still don't like what you're doing or don't agree with what you're doing or think that you could be doing it better. I know there's always room for improvement, and that's what our association is all about.
Well, that's great food for thought, Terry. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with Pipes Drums viewers and readers about the Irish Pipe Band Association, and wish you nothing but success for the future. We'll be watching closely.
But thanks very much, Andrew, and keep watching. There's a lot of stuff coming down the line.
Look forward to it. That's Terry Tully. He is the president of the Irish Pipe Band Association. Stay tuned for more in our series of leadership, association leadership spotlights coming soon on Pipes Drums.